So Arcadian Traffic are basically a collection of photographs that were taken in Banff in 2009 and in Toronto in 2010. And they focus on the CP hotels, so the Banff Springs Hotel in Banff and the York Hotel in Toronto. So these are hotels that were built in the 1880s, 1890s by the CP railroad line, and really to house upper class tourists coming from Europe who wanted to experience the wilderness, or Canada in terms of the metropolis of Toronto. And really, like, the York Hotel in Toronto was the place where the Queen would stay. And so what I centered on was, in Banff, the idea of how the interface between the wilderness and the national park, right, what we call national park, and this place, the Banff Springs Hotel, and how it's situated, and also the diversity of class structure within that activities. So I started by focusing in on just three areas: portraiture and architecture, and then I segued into looking at different activities in the hotel itself, right? So just different situations, like there's a shot with a chandelier and a vacuum cleaner, and that shot kind of is based on the idea of class differentiation, right? And so I became interested too in Toronto, because a lot of these places become kind of conference centers. And when I was in Toronto, they were having the G20 summit. There was this tension in the air. I got around that enough to take some photographs of these conferences, which were really focused on making people feel more secure about their financial situation. So because of the basic financial crisis that had happened in 2008, mutual fund companies were trying to make people feel more secure about the safety of investing again. Oh. So they had these big conferences where they staged these events, right? So there'd be projection screens set up, there'd be microphones, and everything was, of course, within this very lavish kind of elegant space to kind of give authority to the event, right? So they were two very different places in one sense, but the spaces themselves reflected this idea of privilege, and upper class kind of existence. Right? I started to tease out this one area that I focused on, which was the hotel itself, and the kinds of situations that reflected this notion of class, the differences in culture, also how the hotel was a kind of museum and a kind of carried all of the signs of colonization also at the same time. Well, the York Hotel is more of an urban space and an international space, one where there's the presence of financial exchange of the marketplace, commerce is very present in the York Hotel, which is you find a lot less of that in Banff. Banff is centered on this idea of an idyllic wilderness space, right? But so that's the primary difference. At the same time, the idea of commerce is present in both. For example, they both have boutique shops and that kind of thing. Taking a photograph kind of makes it more visible, and just sort of gets us to stop and think, okay, that's what's going on here. Right?